Hi, Kriegsspielers. It's umpire LaFon Dios, and I want to talk today about how you command someone with more or less experience. And it's a very clear technique you can use that I thought I'd share because the reason that Kriegspiel is so great is it's really not about tanks and guns and cavalry and blocks of wood on maps. It's about people. It's about how we interact, how we collaborate, and how we take command positions with each other in order to create an outcome. So that's what makes it great. And this, I think, will help in that regard. So think about three words anytime you talk to your subordinates, you want to provide them context, continuity, and control. So those three words will get you a long way. Context is just simply what's going on. With the fog of war in Kriegspiel, it gets very confusing and games get very tightly bound to a small area. So it's really helpful to know what's going on. Continuity is how is the situation changing? Because when you're seeing this small view, it's really hard to see that. And then control is every player having the ability to develop options in the situation to use their brain to come up with different solutions. And I won't go into any more theory than this, but I want you to just understand those three words because we're going to use an example. So let's say this is you, and you're a decently experienced Kriegspiel player, as evidenced by the medal on your chest. You've had a couple of small commands. You've even assistant umpired once or twice, and through the luck of the draw, you became a corps commander, and you're going to have two subordinates who are commanding brigades in a game. So I wouldn't say you're nervous, but you're like, oh wow, this is a lot. This is the biggest thing I've done in the game here. And by the luck of the draw, you get the International Kriegspiel Society hero assigned to one of your brigades. This guy is amazing. Thousands of hours of wargaming and Kriegspieling experience. He created a Saturday event that was the history of the logistics of military affairs from the caveman to the 31st century. And he did it all by text messages, right? This is this kind of guy. And he's such a Kriegspiel hero that Marshall gave him that trophy there as a lifetime achievement award. And this guy now works for you. So any human being with a nervous system would say, gee, I don't want to look dumb talking to this person with an amazing amount of experience, right? It's just very natural whether you're 26 or 56. That's a very natural way to think about things, right? So this is your subordinate, the hero. You also have a second subordinate, a brand new player who doesn't even know what, the difference between a matchlock and a cannon, right? He's just brand new. He read a book once. He heard about us online, and he's here to try out his very first game. So you have these two completely different commands in this hypothetical scenario. So you start the game, and what they see is a couple of cavalry units in front of them, and whether they're the hero or the new player, they have a very limited viewpoint. So the way to engage with both of them is that you have context. You know what's going beyond that small picture. You've been to additional briefings. You talk to the Army commander, the CIC. You get additional dispatches. You just naturally have more information based on the position that you hold, and you should always, of course, be seeking to get more information. So rather than going and putting your head into a screenshot, you should be trying to find out what's happening in the larger field because you are the master of context. And this is how you work with the hero. It's really important that you understand this one point, right? So in this case, the overall mission is to engage and destroy this force in front of you, which is roughly equivalent in size. The CIC believes that there's an enemy corps that's the big force to the east, and then you have a smaller force in front of you, and the corps commander says, hey, we need you to engage that small force and destroy it. So when you go to the hero, you're going to use context, continuity, control in how you interact with that person such that it works, right? So he knows 50 times more than you do. So what you do is you go with the context. You also know that he's been a CIC. He's written scenarios like this. So you start at a very high level. Say, hey, the CIC's goal is to engage the enemy corps, and defeat them in detail or in parts, he thinks the larger core is to our east. We have a smaller force in front of us. Okay? So now that more experienced player is like, okay, that's the bigger picture. And in his heart of hearts, he'll immediately say, great, I now know more, and he'll appreciate that. And then you move to Pat, the continuities, we'll talk about in the next turn because it's just the situation just started. But then you go to the order, and every order has two parts. What you want the subordinate to do and the outcome and / why you want it done, right? So in this case, it would be foolhardy to go to the guy with the trophy and give him a specific order about how he should march or how he should deploy and all that, because he knows 50 times more than you do, right? So the way you frame it is the two parts. The order can be use whatever tactical means you deem necessary to engage the enemy in order to draw more of their eastern forces our way and relieve pressure on the east flank. So you're basically saying to the hero, do whatever you, just do your thing, man, but I need you to pull some eastern forces over so we can help out the big picture. That very experienced person is going to look at you or talk to you online, just say, this is a person who gets it, great order, I got it, and in their mind's immediately going to start working the problem, all right? You're not going to get into an argument about musket distances or ranges or cannon deployment and all that stuff, right? He's immediately going to get to solving the problem, and then you can move on to the next person. So now this new player, you obviously can't give him that kind of order. You have to adjust the context, continuity, and control for him because he does not even going to know any of this stuff. He doesn't even know what a brigade is. So you're going to say, the context, you're going to dial it down. You say, we have a force in front of us that is slightly smaller than ours, and we have to help. We can help our larger command if we do as much damage to them as possible. Plain English, very clear. He sees the cavalry, he gets it. No continuity because it's a start. And then his orders still allow for control, and this is really important, right? So his orders are, when the umpire asks for your orders, tell him you would like to line up your infantry and where you would like to do it, and also decide where you would like to push your cannons, and tell him about that too. Now, a super new player is going to go, I don't know where to put the infantry or which side to put the cannons on. And in order to keep the control on the table for him, you'll say, well, what do you think? Or you'll say, hey, go ahead and give it a shot. I'll come back and have a look at it, and we'll talk it through, right? And you allow that new player to think it through because you're putting their mind to work. And so now by doing this, you have two minds working on your problem, right? So you're not solving it all for them, but you're having them work on for the problem, literally just in how you speak. Okay, so let's say that the situation radically changes, which it does in Kriegspiel. And let's say that actually you get a dispatch from the CIC that says, whoops, we made a mistake. 3/4 of the forces in front of you, you are the receiving end of the main attack. Hold on over there as long as you can, and we'll come bring you some help, right? So now the situation is completely changed. The plan is completely changed. How do you handle it with your hero, okay? So I'll just earmark this right now. What you don't do is go back and say, we're totally hosed, dude. Everything's out the window. We're totally screwed or whatever, right? Because on one end, there's the fun of the game and you're, emotional and having fun with it. That's totally right. But when you say that, you destroy the context because you're basically saying we don't know what's going on. You destroy any continuity in the person's experience. And most importantly, you destroy your credibility because that senior player is going to say, well, you don't even know what's going on, right? So here's a way to handle that, right? Context. The CIC goal remains the same. We have to destroy this force in front of us. Continuity. We thought it was one way. Now here's the new information. We have new information. The main enemy attack is coming in our direction, and we were asked to defend and hold this position until the CIC can reinforce us. Your orders are use whatever tactical means you deem necessary to engage this superior force in order to hold this position as long as possible, right? So you're literally just laying it out and you're saying, use that big brain of yours to help me figure this out, okay? But the important thing is that the continuity doesn't destroy your whole view on the situation. And so here's where the magic happens. Because when you have someone talented like the hero, they can see things you can't possibly see. So the hero will come back with something like, I think I can do that with a limited attack that seizes the ridge to our southeast, on which we will place all the guns. I will deploy my first regiment in skirmish order, taking advantage of the tyranny of the musket, then push regiments 2 through 4 in an attack column on a diagonal line to our objective. This maneuver should take 2 turns. If you would, please have my colleague in the east be prepared to send his guns to the ridge on the 3rd turn and bring up the cannon you have as a core reserve to join them. So that big, experienced brain of his just came up with a Hail Mary plan. Now, if you're smart, what you say is, let's go with that, right? You don't start arguing about where the guns are going to be put and all that kind of stuff, because this person has so much experience, you're going to tap that, right? You're going to tap that experience and take advantage of it, right? So the smart leader who's less experienced says, hey, that's a great idea, let's go with that. So now you're going to go back to your other commander and you have a very specific thing you want him to do, but you still want to preserve the context, continuity, and control framework, right? So very quickly you go to the new player and say, we're still engaging the force in front of us, which maintains context. We have learned it's larger than we thought, and we're going to fight it out right here. We have a plan. Now notice, we have a plan to seize the ridgeline to the southeast in 3 turns and put all of our cannons there. You're an important part of that. Hold your line here on the 2nd turn, limber your guns, as we're going to need your support on the 3rd turn by bringing those guns to the ridgeline. Keep your infantry lined up in order to protect those guns so we can get them to the ridge. Okay, so in this order, you make it really clear those guns got to be ready to go on the 3rd turn for the hero's plan. But you still maintain a little bit of the control by saying, just do with your infantry what you want to protect the guns, right? Now, as a leader, if he starts doing things that endangers the guns, then you step in and help him out, right? But generally, by this time, this new player is going to figure that piece out and go for it. His brain's working on that problem. The hero is working on the bigger problem. So then the astonishing outcome occurs. The hero's plan works. All the guns go up to the ridgeline. It smashes the much larger force. The CIC is just absolutely amazed. At the after-action review, he is lauded as the great commander, and he gives all the credit to you because you were the commander of that wing. The hero, who actually came up with the substance of the plan, is going to be delighted because he had a great game. He had a lot of fun. He had a chance to come up with a unique and novel solution. And of course, as a leader, what you do is say, oh my God, I had the hero. He did everything. It doesn't matter. You still get the trophy, right? So this is how you frame your communication and your leadership with people more experienced than you and those who are less by using context, continuity, and allowing them to have control. And the little secret of this is this doesn't just work in Kriegspiel. This works in life. Okay, so I loved making this. I hope you enjoyed it too. Just a little bit of advice there. We'll see you out on the boards. Thanks so much.